Northern.
We need to be working. Yeah, there's nobody did.
Yeah.
They just sort of pull in the plug and.
Yes, ma'am. What you got?
Could you answer? Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You ready to rock and roll?
No.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call this regular meeting of the Hill County Commissioners Court to order this Tuesday, May the 23rd, 2023. Let the record reflect that a quorum of commissioners is present and established with everyone being here. And this meeting was posted in accordance with Texas Government Code 551, better known as the Texas Open Meetings Act. This meeting is being both held in person and online. Ms. Paul, has anybody signed up to speak at 8 o'clock this morning? All right, we'll make sure we don't miss any of our online participants. At this time, anybody here that would like to give the invocation? Brother, would you like to say a word?
Yes. Heavenly Father, we thank you for a day that you provided for us. Thank you for the breath that we have in our lungs. Father, I pray that your hand would be upon the people of Hill County. I also pray that your hand would be upon the commissioners and the county judge as well. Father, as they go through the business of the county, I pray that you would give them wisdom and discernment as the items on their agenda are addressed. Father, I thank you that you have given us the opportunity for these guys to gather to make decisions. I lift up our first responders. I pray, Father, that your hand would be upon them as well, that you would keep them healthy and keep them safe as they serve our community. Again, we thank you for being a God that loves each and every one of us. And I do ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Pastor, thank you so much. If you all follow the pledge of American and Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. I think you're all good. Probate docket yesterday. So, oh boy. No, I don't know if anybody else's sinuses are bothering them, but mine are wearing on me this morning, so forgive me if I take just a few seconds every now and then. Well, Commissioner Holcomb, what's going on in Precinct 1 Hill County this morning?
Well, crash trees on the roads. And
Plenty of free firewood out there, we like to think.
free firewood. They had, get prepped for the chip seal work on 1414. And, I have an agreement with a guy that he's got a giraffe that can get up 55 feet and cut the canopy up.
So this is new terminology to me, a giraffe.
Animal.
Yeah, we're just gonna turn out Noah's Zoo out there and let it go. but, yeah.
Interesting piece of machinery.
Okay.
It's not made, robotic, and it's got a little hand control. And I just follow behind it and move forward. And it lifts up and it just drives on us.
Interesting.
Anyway, if you have canopy problems. So the, canopy grows and gets low.
It's baby.
All days.
I'd love to see a video of that. If you happen to catch it, I'd like to see it. That sounds fascinating. Thank you.
Anyway, we got that, and but that does later than cleaning it. You take and push everything off the dish and you come back on. Chip everything.
There you go. Good deal. Wonderful. Sounds like you guys got a lot
Just
going on.
trying to keep the roads open.
I understand. Mr. Crumpton, what's happening in precinct 2?
Oh, quite a bit going on right now, between 4 different rains, we get 3.5 inches at a time, then we get 1.5 inches soft rain, and the soft rain does more damage than a hard rain.
Well, we're getting
Or your rock mashes down into the mud. And
all that rain we prayed for last year.
yeah, I wish they'd help some of it till July and August, but we had quite a bit of damage, Friday night. I had one guy was pushing trees out of the road, half a dozen trees on Saturday. And I got those out, and then I had that hailstorm between Aquila and West, that, water across the road in 4 or 5 places, at 2.5 inches, 3 inches of rain in an hour.
We got lucky. That went just south of us at the house, lost some tree limbs around the house, but we didn't.
That's the second rain had the southwestern part of our precinct, the previous rain before that, that same thing, and lady called me and said, water went across the road. I said, man, there's 5 culverts in that road. And I said, how much rain did you have? And she said it was 3.5 inches an hour. I said, well, that answers the question. She did, it go down pretty quick, couple hours. I said, so we can hope for
I'm glad the culvert's still there.
it. Well, we put recycled asphalt on top of it and molded it real good back when we did that. We put those culverts in and it floated across it just like it was a spillway. It didn't do any damage when it went off the edge. It's starting to work out their fence a little bit, but it didn't do damage to the road.
That's good to know.
But other than that, repairing and moving on.
Sounds exciting. Commissioner Hawkins, what you got going on in precinct 3 today?
About the same. We're probably south end of that storm you was talking about, and had a lot of water, several trees down, so we kind of got the trees out of the way and trying to patch up the roads where they were washed and water went across. And also starting the middle of the project with the textile today on 31.
Okay,
So we're supposed to be with them this week, kitchen and milling, so
they're going all the way to the county line this time?
now we're doing 3,500 foot right now.
3,500 foot now, okay.
I don't know when they'll pick up again, but that's what we're supposed to do this week.
Good deal, good
But
deal.
we're thankful for them.
I agree. I've always been thankful for some recycled asphalt. Commissioner Lake, what's going on in precinct 4 today?
We're running road graders and 2 extra trucks for hauling gravel to the yard because I figured this is gonna be El Nino coming back. We're gonna need quite a bit of extra gravel in the yard in case things go washing this fall.
Makes sense, makes sense. Tom, what's happening in emergency management?
Really, the weather is gonna be, taking a lot of our time, because it's about every afternoon, we'll be doing the watches and everything else, so. Just kind of keep an eye on that, when we go to the service. They called me, I guess it's Friday, go about the hail. They said they had a big hail, so we're going across the west side of our county, but.
Commissioner Crumpton found it.
Yeah, we did.
Located.
We'll call you next time, huh?
Yeah.
11 o'clock Friday night.
So is this the meeting where we're gonna give him a new chainsaw, keep gassed up?
Yes,
We'll give him
yes.
that. Very good.
I'm the first Steve, if we're gonna give you.
I've got 2. I'll give you a key to the barn, but just stop by and get them anytime.
Oh, man.
But we're moving forward. I'll let Chris kind of get some of the advice. We got some positive news this week from next week, and
Yeah,
looks like some things are gonna start moving forward. That's good news.
always good. Scott, what's going on, chief? You got anything, sheriff's office?
Just trying to hire more people in the jail.
Okay. Seems to be a constant. Death, taxes, and hiring people in jail.
Yeah, got a couple good applicants for dispatch that have experience. so
Oh, good.
Thanks for that. So, just hire people.
My good, Constable Cox, good to see you. You guys got anything going on?
Now I just influx in papers during the last couple of weeks. Keeping it busy.
Imagine so. Philip, what's going on in IT?
Me and Judge right now this week, we're trying to help with Covington over there, bringing up some cables that were left up in the.
Yeah, the Smithsonian called. They want those cables back.
Yes, we're working on it.
Yeah.
Other than, yeah, working with AT&T, I'm at AT&T, substation out there, just talking about the phone board on it, back wall where the voltage is gonna be, is how it's gonna be and all that. So I got some phone calls, emails out to some AT&T engineers and whatnot, but anyway, I'm just trying to do that part of it over there to keep that project going.
Man, I'm really impressed. Sounds like you're finally getting some people at AT&T to work with you and get a few things done lately. So,
Yes.
yeah, well, it finally is the word, yes. So, but I'm happy for it. I'm glad they're doing that. Mr. Jackson, what's going on in the radio administration world?
Like I said, we got good traction with next thing, finalizing
links for the Encore and DOC, that's so tired. All of the replacement waves, you remember they're all actually replacing all the ones that are already there. Those are ordered, which should be here soon,
Good deal.
and then we're gonna start replacing the central ones permanently.
Have we had any more of those those links go down since that last round of things? I mean, we've had a lot of bad weather recently.
It hasn't been the impact on operations.
Wow, okay.
It dropped packets numerous times in the day, it just has not been a negative impact.
Knock on wood that it stays that way, so. Good.
And then we've been talking to all the various vendors trying to get project management contacts, so that we can start getting everyone on the same page for whenever on the board. Gives us some contract to sign, we're not waiting on anything.
My prediction is all of that's gonna happen the week you guys gotta go to conference.
70%.
All right, Ken, what's going on with ESD number one? So you're not asking me for a burn ban, is what I'm hearing. Well, you're gonna need to get pontoons on your fire trucks to get out in my fields.
We understand that, if it's not the sand, it's the wet.
All right, we need to follow back up. Sounds like we got some things put to bed, but on that Huron facility. And I'll get with our attorney this week and kind of figure out which way we're going on. We talked for a long time. I know you poured some more concrete this last 2 weeks ago now, last week. Whenever that was, I don't remember. Anyway, about getting that fire battery put together, the water battery put together, and then ultimately leasing those guys a little bit of area, put a tanker and engine over there for faster response times. So we're working on that. Ms. Pope, anything from the fighting folks at TxDOT? Yeah. Oh, no, it's okay. We would be rude not to ask. Everybody else got a turn. Okay. Okay. Good. That's going to be something that's on here to set a public hearing a little bit later, and we'll circle back to that one. So good deal. Thank you. Anybody else has got any elected or appointed official, anything you want to share? Steve, anything to share with us this morning? Yeah, I imagine so. All right. In which case then, nothing to share. Good deal. I know I was with David yesterday, since he don't want to talk, smart lawyer. And he's working to get the date set for the closing on the house on Walnut Street. Yeah, West Walnut. So that's moving along, and it's getting where we need it to. So, all right, at that time, we're going to move along then. This is open forum. This is your opportunity. You came all the way from Mount Calm this morning. Surely you got something you want to tell us. No. All right, sorry, we poke fun. Anybody shows up late, don't take it personal. Anyway, this is your opportunity. If there's something that's not on the agenda, but you want to address the court, please feel free to do so. If you could limit your comments to about 3 to 5 minutes in duration, and as we respect you, please show respect to the Commissioner's Court. So we'll open the floor for open forum. Okay, we're going to close the floor to open forum. That gets past that part of it. And we're going to move right on into our consent agenda. This morning's consent agenda, we have action on minutes, invoices, payroll, monthly report on revenue and disbursement, and observe and record elected official training certificates. You will have received emails from Julie over in the treasurer's office regarding your accounts payable and the payroll. You'll find the minutes in your packet. If there's any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will entertain the motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any item we need to take off for individual discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it and the noes know it. I'm going to start passing orders around. All right, Justin. Okay. That makes that packet go really quick.
So there are no certificates.
Yeah, no certificates today. Forgive me. I should say that. Yes, nobody had any schooling this last 2 weeks. All right. So going on to your court orders today, we have discussed and are approved employee wage status changes. We have first the people that have chosen to move on to greener pastures. We have Mr. Stark Colin Stark out of the sheriff's office. He's moving along. Best of luck to him. We have Krista Chapman out of the sheriff's office. They're moving along. Courtney Phillips out of the sheriff's office. They're moving along. Missed one in here. Rebecca Lord from the SO, they're moving along. So the wage status changes on this date. Mr. Marilyn Vernon Busby, Mr. Busby has moved up to investigator, CID. Very proud of him, doing a great job. Dalton D. Herrera, we have, has a 1 year step raise in the sheriff's office. We have Dalvin Rubio, again, 1 year step raise in the sheriff's office. We have Walter Shane Hooten, a promotion to jail lieutenant. Congratulations, Mr. Hooten. That's great. We have Marcia, and I'm going to ruin this last name, Fuchs, I think maybe.
It's actually pronounced weak. I don't know how.
It's okay. I'm good with Foyt. Now that I know, I can correct myself. I wouldn't have got that, but I didn't know you spelled shapey with a T until I met the Germans. So, all right. So anyway, promotion to patrol lieutenant. Congratulations, Ms. Foyt. That's wonderful. And Chris Jackson, our radio administrator, I put him in for a raise of 3%. The guy's more than worth it, in my opinion. So those are the employee wage status changes for the state.
Motion approved.
Motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion shall pass unanimously. Number 2 is consider, discuss and or approve bonds. Bonds we have before us today. Mr. Brandon Elmore, Ms. Hannah Kennedy, Ms. Jennifer Chavez, Jennifer Bonds, and Sean Moore. That's his notary bond. And those are the aforementioned bonds.
Motion approved, bonds.
Motion and second to approve bonds. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 3 is observe and record Hill County CPS Board Treasurer's Report for April 2023. The fine people over at Hill County CPS Child Welfare Board have submitted their treasurer's report for April 2023, showing that they have total current assets of $39,628.63 and total equity of the same amount. That's a pretty good balance sheet. You look at your ordinary income expense for this last month, you have income of $600 in public donations, expenses totaling an amount of $3,144. Those expenses go out to emergency clothing allowance, emergency bedding, facilities, equipments, their Go Blue Day, which they hold each year to bring attention to child abuse in Hill County. And then a 1 week child care for 2 children that they had to pay for. And of course, some travel and meetings, but I want you to know that was $31.62. That's all they charge for travel and meetings. So there's no money wasted with these folks and they do a fine job. I recommend that we observe and I make the motion that we observe and record the Hill County CPS Treasurer Report for April 2023. I heard a motion, a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Number 4 is discuss and approve communication system agreement between Hill County and Abbott Volunteer Fire Department. Mr. Jackson, what do we have today?
That is just, the ad is going to be the primary one, so that's going to be a big one. They are currently on 2, the 5 order.
Okay, good deal. Wonderful. They're still coming along. We're seeing a pretty good adoption of the 800 megahertz system amongst the fire departments.
The ASD is supposed to be trying to work with the fire departments.
Wonderful. Great. That's wonderful. All right. In which case, that is the discussion before your recommendation to approve a communication system agreement between Hill County and the Abbott Volunteer Fire Department.
Motion approved.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, we call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And there's just a signature on the back page. I have signed that for your review, ma'am. Moving along to item number 5 on today's agenda, and that's discuss and approve communication system agreement between Hill County and the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. It's the same agreement that we've had. Well, go ahead. Good deal. And they've signed off on it. They sent us a copy of the signed document. Unfortunately, they're scanned sent every other page, not the evens. They didn't make any changes. They got to resend that, but I still move for the approval of a communication memorandum of understanding agreement between Hill County, Texas and Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Motion approved.
Okay. Motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? Real quick, I keep bringing these before you guys, not to bore you, but because there's some pretty express language that any agreement that the county enters into, well, most any agreement, I should say, has to come before the commissioners court to be valid. So what we've been doing is putting these on the record, bringing it forward. I know you guys have read this thing 10 times now. We're going to keep doing this simply because for validity purposes, it needs to be a record. The other thing is, once we do it in this court, you have a good record of it from now on. It stays in the county clerk's record. So let's look it up. Anyway, that's my discussion. I'll call a question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. I'll get you that copy a little while we get it back. Number 6, discuss and approve annual auditor's finance report. Ladies and gentlemen, it's budget time. How do you know? You get the auditor's annual finance report. So you have the floor, sir. What do you want to say? Tell us. We're not going to go over page by page, right?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Richard, this is in compliance with section 114.025 and needs submitted to the judge and commission as well. It gives an in-depth overview of the entire county budget, revenues, expenditures, especially it's very useful in each particular fund as it ended on September 30, 2020 fiscal year. It has our indebtedness, it has our revenue, and it has our capital asset.
This is, like I said, this is a large starting point for me in the budget process, simply because this document, we always kind of make some estimations, like we don't call them guesses, but that's what they are. And you project what your revenues are going to be, what your expense is going to be. This actually nails it down to the T. This is what we spent as of September 30th, been reviewed by the outside auditors. So, so he was prepared for us. So I think that it's a document that everybody should take a few moments in the near future and go through and look at. It gives us an idea of what our expenses and how good are we as a court at projecting what our revenues are going to be and how good we were at projecting our expenses. Overall, we look pretty good. The fact of the matter is, I think the court did a pretty good job, forgive me, of projecting both of those things. There's no highlights in here I'm going to call out to you. Just if you look under the first tab, which is the general budget, you can go through there and it lays out each office and how they did and the expenditures. We pretty close to the bone. County Judge's Office, we expended 97.9% of our budget. So we turned 2.1% of our budget back into the county at the end of the fiscal year. General non-departmental, it's only 69.58. But if you recall, we encumbered some of those funds for construction purposes. The 4101 line, the 1103 4101 line is where we've been funding most of the major construction projects out of non-departmental. So that explains that. But if you look through this, you'll continue to see there's very few budgets that went over, and pretty proud of you guys. Did a good job. So that is the annual auditor's finance report.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further questions, commentary, general ideas? I'm dragging this out. I got nothing today. So, all right, cool. I'll call a question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right. So the next thing is 2 public settings. Item 7, item 8 are the same thing. We're gonna have 2 separate hearings, 2 separate days. Originally, we had item number 8 scheduled for a public hearing today, but when I went back to look, it didn't get published in the paper. So we ain't holding a public hearing today on that. What I'm doing on both of these is we are setting these for a future date to give the community notice of when we're going to have a public hearing that everybody can come and have their say on this. We want to make sure that we're transparent in anything that we do. Anytime that I feel that there has not been sufficient public notice, I pull that item and I put it back on here. We'll set another hearing and make sure we get sufficient notice out. So the first one, item 7, is discussion and action setting a hearing regarding the creation of a reinvestment zone pursuant to subchapter C 320.312 of the Texas Property Tax Code for OCI 3WS Solar. This is a project that is going to take place off of 309 north of 22. Marco Westmoreland, his son, and another farmer together in this. And it's not a very big project like some of these other ones have been, but it's a couple of 100 acres. And they previously had a 313 agreement approved before the end of last year with the Hillsborough ISD. And they are requesting that we hold a public hearing on this to create a reinvestment zone. Is that personal thing? Making sure. Sorry, here's my coughing. I feel bad. So to create a reinvestment zone. So all we're doing today is simply setting a public hearing to do this. I want to set the public hearing in the commissioner's court so the whole world has notice of when this hearing will be. And quite frankly, we also have to publish, okay, there's a calendar, that's what I was looking for. So today is the 23rd day of the month. If we go 6/13, I would say the second meeting in June would be the 27th. That would probably be the best date in my mind to hold this.
Make a motion.
Okay. So a motion and a second for the 27th, for the 27th day of June, so to set a public hearing on the creation of a reinvestment zone pursuant to subchapter C 312 of the Texas Property Tax Code for OCI 3WS Solar. Okay, that is the deal. All right. I'll call the question. Or sorry, is there any further discussion? If not, call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? And that leads us number 8, which is the same thing, discussion or action on setting a hearing regarding the creation of a reinvestment zone pursuant to subchapter C 312 of the Texas Property Tax Code for Letisol Solar LLC. Letisol Solar, go out Highway 22. I call it the Duke property. That's what we called it 20 some odd years ago. It's a large property on the south side of 22. Starts after the cemetery and goes all the way to Peoria. That property is where they're looking at to put a solar farm on that and create a reinvestment zone inside.
1,000 acres.
1,000 acres. That's one right across the road from your house.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so
What do they do? I didn't-
that's a dang good question, because you remember when Mockingbird, they had that same property, they bought it in that, well, they had 300 acres in one place. That party said they were going to tie in, but go across core property, and at that time, you don't see that happening. Apparently, it didn't happen, so I'm not certain where they're going to tie in. I've got a lot of questions about this. But the same thing with 3WOCI, this 3W solar. I don't know where they're going to tie in. I don't have a clue. I don't know if they're going to try to go over to the line that double circuit 345 kV line that runs north.
There's a transmission line out
That's what I was thinking. There is a transmission
there.
line.
On Joe Pico place.
Oh, okay.
It runs across it.
Maybe that's where they're going to connect. You got me.
So
So,
there's a transmission plant there. I don't know whether it's gas or electric there on that corner.
okay, well, we'll have some representatives from the companies here so they can answer all these questions, because I can't from what I've seen. All right, so that is the deal. Again, my recommendation is we set a public hearing on 6/27 of 23 for this project as well.
Make a motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? For that. Don't worry about it. We need some levity around here occasionally. All right, in which case I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstention? Motion's going to carry. Mr. Crumpton,
Make a motion to adjourn.
motion second. We stand adjourned. Thank you so much. Sorry, it was so short. I know normally everybody comes down here for like 2 hour meetings.